overdressed and underpaid. Hi, it's me. Welcome back to my channel. Here I do nonsense, and clearly today we're going to do nonsense. So if you're wondering why I'm dressed like this, you may not know that today is actually a very important anniversary. Today marks 1 year of Golden, and I can't really take myself seriously saying this, but I am actually a simp and I love Harry Styles, so yeah. I remember when Golden came out, I was still interning at my old place, and I met a friend out for dinner. I ended my intern at 7 and I think we had dinner, and she was like, oh hey, do you want to hang out some more and go like do stuff? And I was like, no, sorry, I kind of need to go home. I have work early tomorrow. But that was a lie, because I wanted to go home early so that I could watch Golden when it dropped, because I was really hyped for it. When I got home and watched it, it made me so happy because he looked so happy in it, and like his outfit was gorgeous. Peak 10 out of 10 king as usual. I saw the most important part of the video, which is these beautiful gloves. So I found out that these gloves were actually crochet gloves, and I was like, psh, I can do it. So I decided I'm going to make them. I spent over a year thinking about how to make the pattern and working it on different types of yarn, and I think I finally came out with the perfect way to make the perfect Harry Styles gloves. So yeah, so now I'm sitting here dressed as a discount Harry Styles because girl got no funds for Gucci, and we're going to make this with lace yarn. I've tried a whole bunch of different yarns, but none of them actually seem to work as well. I've tried regular yarn and like trying to peel it and de-ply it into one ply, but it doesn't work. So we're going to use lace yarn, and soon you'll find out that I've already messed up because of the simple fact that I ended up doing it in 2 colors, because I bought the first yarn and 1 ball of this is definitely not enough, because even though it looks like a lot, it's only good for 1 glove. So now I'll show you how to make the whole gloves, and hopefully it makes sense. So how we're going to work on the glove is like so. So we're going to make a square panel like this. We're going to need 2 of this. Afterwards, we're going to do the borders, which is a little bit confusing, but we'll do this in the round. So this is round. After we make this, we're going to stitch it together, and then we'll do the thumb, which is here. Oh god, this is gonna be horrible. So we'll do the thumb, and because if you look at your hand, right, your thumb is here, so basically the portion is only going to be up to here. Afterwards, we're going to work this part, and this will be in the round also, which is this portion past the thumb, and then afterwards we will do the fingers. So you have the, and all of these will also be made in the round, but we will, after we finish this section, so after we get enough length for here, we will stop crocheting, and then we will start doing the thing whereby we stitch and crochet it on directly. If it doesn't make sense now, it will probably make sense later, but basically you're going to have to make 2, 3, 4 different parts. See, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're counting the thumb as 1 part. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then after that we're going to have to do the 4 fingers. So this is how we're going to make the glove. The pattern is the same all the way except for this part, except for part 3. Every other part will use the same pattern of alternating blanks and shells. So this is the pattern for all of them except layer 3. Okay, so understanding this pattern is going to be a little bit difficult, but I'll try my best to explain it. So how it works is that you're going to need edge pieces, obviously, edge. And then you're going to need a center piece, which I'll draw here, so that gives the edge pieces more space. And then another edge. So if you think about it, you will crochet this way and then continue with the center and then the other edge. The edges are just mirror images of each other, but I think it'll help you understand it better if I just draw them out. So a basic pattern, how we do it is for every edge piece we chain 8. I'm going to draw a ledger also. So this is a chain and this is a double crochet. basically all we need to do to make this pattern is just a bunch of chains and double crochets. So for the edge pieces, you chain 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. For each center piece, you chain 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm gonna have to just move this a little bit higher. Center. And then on the other edge, you also chain 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is our first row. On the second row, we'll start from this side because if you think about it, we crochet this way, this way, and this way. We're gonna do a double crochet into the first stitch. Afterwards, we chain 1, we skip 2, and then we work a double crochet into this third one, into the fourth one. So I'll just color that black. Afterwards, we chain 2, and then do a double crochet back in here. Chain 1, skip 2, work 2 double crochets in here again. Obviously at first it won't look like a V, it'll only look like a V after you put another layer of double crochets on top of that. So we'll skip that for now. And then afterwards we get here. So for our center pieces, we skip 1, do 2 double crochets in here, and then we skip 2, chain 1, skip 2, work a double crochet into this one, chain 2, another double crochet back in here, chain 1, skip 2, and work 2 double crochets into this loop. And then after that we don't chain 1 and we move on to the other edge piece. So if you think about this, this is like a continuous flow. So for the other edge piece is literally the mirror image of this. So skip 1, 2 double crochets into this, chain 1, skip 2, 2 double crochet, a double crochet, chain 2, another double crochet, chain 1, and then a double crochet. So this is our second row. Row 2, and row 2. For row 3, we're going to always chain 2 when you start as usual. After our chain 2, we double crochet, and then this is where we work the shell shape. So how you do the shell is by chaining 1, work 4 double crochets into this gap here, chain 1, do another 4 double crochets, and that is your shell. Afterwards you chain 1, work 2 double crochets into this gap, and that will make it form a V. And then here we do 2 double crochets also into this loop. And between these gaps, you don't need to chain anything. Afterwards, you chain 1. Every big gap, you put a shell. So that's 4, chain 1, 4, chain 1. For the little V's, you just put 2 double crochets back into it. And then here, it's the same thing, mirror image of that. Chain 1, and then a shell. Chain 1, and then a shell. Chain 1, and then double crochet in here. So this is row 3. I'll just show you what row 4 is supposed to look like. As usual, chain 2, and then after that a double crochet. So now you chain 2 instead of chaining 1, and then you work your double crochets into the chain 1 gap here. So here, then chain 2, back in here, chain 2, put the V back in here, and then from here also just 2 double crochets, chain 2, work a double crochet in there, chain 2, another double crochet in here, chain 2, 2 double crochets into this, the 2 double crochets below, 2 double crochets again, chain 2, a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet. So this is row 4. So now after you have this pattern, all you do is alternating layers of row 3 and row 4 until you get it to the desired number of rows that you need. So essentially a pattern will look somewhat like this. but the number of center pieces that you need will definitely change. For myself, I needed to make something with three center sections and 1 each piece each. So it's literally this, then 3 of this, and then afterwards this. Hopefully this pattern makes sense to you. I know it's a little bit confusing, but it sort of works out. So once you have the basics of this pattern, we can start actually doing crochet. So I'll do that now. I'm going to keep the pattern like next to me right here so we can refer back to it anytime, and I will take my lace yarn out. Clearly I have already messed up. I was using this initially, which is more accurate to the color of what I wanted, but when I went back to the store, it was out of stock and they only had this, and I was like, I'm impatient. So I'll literally have 1 cream rice colored glove and 1 pure white one, so oh well, can't complain. So okay, a regular yarn would be this width, but lace yarn is really thin. So yeah, I'm using a 1mm hook. So for regular yarn, usually you use a 4 or 5. So that'll just give you an idea of how tiny this yarn is. So starting with this, we do it as usual by working a slip knot. Okay, so as I said earlier, I will need 1 edge piece, 3 center pieces, and then another edge piece. So to do that, I need to do 8 plus 8, which is 16, plus 9 times 3, which is 27, 16 plus 20, 8 plus 8. I'm going to calculate this because I don't trust myself. Plus 8, plus 9, plus 9, plus 9. That's 43, sorry. 27 plus, oh right, 16. And because we're working with double crochets, I'll need to crochet an extra 2. So I'll start by chaining 45. And 45. Okay, I'm just gonna zoom way closer. Okay, so once we get there, what we're going to do is start working our pattern. We skip the first 2 chains and then we work a double crochet into the next stitch. As you can see, it's a little bit tricky. And then after our double crochet, we chain 1, skip 2, 1, 2, and then work a double crochet into the third one. See, 1, 2, and a double crochet here. Chain 1, chain 2, put it back in here. Don't worry if it stretches a little bit at first. Eventually it'll work out fine. It's just a little bit confused now. Chain 1 again, skip 2, and put 2 double crochets into here. Afterwards we skip 2 again, and then yarn over, get into the third one. And from here it's kind of redundant if I keep telling you what to do, but you just refer back to the pattern that I made for the second row and just keep doing what we've been doing so far, and then you're good. And I'll meet you back on row 3. After a harrowing process of crochet, we have finished our first row. Yay! Honestly, it doesn't look like much now and it's a little bit messy, but it will make sense later. Literally now it just looks like a row of V's. This is all it looks like, and yeah. So once you get to the end, as usual, we do what we do with double crochets. We chain 2, chain 1, chain 2, turn, yarn over, turn your work around, and we work a double crochet right here into this little gap here of the stitch that you've made. Getting it in there, yarn over, double crochet, and we can start on the third row, which is honestly the most fun part because here's where we start making the shells. So as usual, like I said, chain 1, and we just work directly into the big V that we've already made. So yarn over, and we put a shell in here. So that's 1. Just try to keep the yarn like tight so that the tension is right. Yarn over again. And then we work another 3 in here. Okay, so after we do 4 double crochets, chain 1, yarn over again, and then work 4 double crochets back in here. Okay, after you do that, chain 1, and then we'll work into the other V's here. So this forms like the bordery thingy, because if you look at the pattern of the glove, it has like a shell and a border and a shell and a border, and these are kind of like the outline slash border parts. So 2 double crochets, and we don't chain 1, and then we work another 2 right into the V that we already have. And that is our edge piece done. I'm going to just pull on this a little so that we can see what it looks like. And essentially it'll look something like this. The more rows we get, the more it will make sense. Right now, it's because it's not like, it doesn't have the correct tension for it to be pulling upwards and outwards. So this is what an edge piece looks like. But you can see the little shell, and you can see the gap where we have to work it our crochets into later, which is here, which is the apex of the shell. So yeah. So now we're gonna do our next shell. Chain 1 again. And like I said, you work directly into this big loop that the V forms. I mean, at first it doesn't really make sense, but afterwards it really does. So just trust me, just trust me. And then of course, after each shell, we always chain 1, yarn over, and we work into these little V's here. Chain 1, and then the next shell. And then we're done with row 3. See, okay, so it will have a lace-ish effect, and you can start to see the pattern taking form. You can see the shells coming up, you can see that they kind of form these, and yeah, basically this will be it. And I'll just work on the extra rows. And from here, chain 2 again, yarn over, flip this over, work into the same gap that we did just now, do a double crochet. So every row always starts with a chain 2 and a double crochet, and every row ends with just a double crochet. Once we have our double crochet, what we need to do is chain 2, yarn over again, and then we're going to work into the gap that we've made, which is like so. We'll put 1 double crochet in there, and then afterwards we're going to chain 2, chain 1, chain 2, yarn over again, putting it right back into the same loop that we've done, and double crochet. So it will form this V-shaped thing, which we will put shells into. So I call it the blanks and the shells. So every layer of every shell pattern includes 1 row of blanks like so, and 1 row of shells. So basically the blanks are where the shells go into. After you make your first blank, well, after you make your 4th row, which is your second blank, you chain 2, yarn over again, and you work into the borders, which are these little things. So you just work 2 double crochets right in there. Did I yarn over? No, I didn't. Okay, yarn over, go back in. You work into the borders, which is 2 double crochets in each V. And here you don't chain or anything, you just yarn over, work straight into the next one. And 2 double crochets also. And if you're wondering, they form a V when you work back. Let me just pull some. Okay, they form a V shape when you work back into them. As you can see, they have a slight V shape when you work into them so they're not just two straight lines. We'll do the next blank. So for every blank, it's always chain 2, yarn over, work a double crochet into the center of the shell where we chained 1 just now, chain 2, yarn over again, go right back there and add a double crochet. Literally, you just keep doing this until you have enough rows. So I will meet you back when I finish 9 shells and 10 blank. Okay, so you can tell the passage of time from how chipped my nails are because I'm not gentle and I messed them up, and I'm kind of annoyed with how imperfect my manicure is now, but whatever. Life goes on and we go on. So after you have 2 of these, as you can tell the color is way too bright and white, but whatever. I crochet 9 shells and 10 blanks. Basically, if you measure it against your hand, it's supposed to go until here. So you want to get it right where the joint of your thumb and pointer meet. I have no idea what this is called. I'm sure there's a right term for it. So you just want to get it to this point. And you make 2 of these. For me, that's 9 shells and 10 blanks. And then we can get started on connecting it together. So when I finish the last row, I left this on so that I could crochet it together. And now what you're going to do is pick the side you like better. I like this side better. Make them right sides facing. Right sides facing like so, and we'll just crochet them in together. Okay, I'm gonna do this off camera because my hands are useless and shaky. Just look at that. Okay. And yeah, so just crochet along this end and crochet these 2 along together at this end, and then I'll meet you back when I'm done because I just launched the crochet hook out of my hands. How fun. Okay, so I finished attaching it together and you can see the side seams here. Also, funny story, my hands weren't shaking because of pain, but it was shaking because I was hungry. And I ate some samyang. My stomach feels like a nice warm furnace. My hands are kind of stable now and I'm ready to continue. So after finishing this seam, I crocheted it downwards from the shells so that it would end here. After crocheting it, I mean you don't need to, but I did that so it was more convenient for me. If not, all you need to do is just start the same way you always do, insert your hook in and tie a knot, and then we can start off. But yeah, I don't need to do that because it's already attached. So from here, what we're going to do now is chain 3. 1, 2, 3, yarn over, and we're going to do treble crochets. So you yarn over once and you yarn over twice. So there's 2 loops on your hook, working into the same loop that you're in. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. And this is a treble crochet. So the first chain 3 will also act as a treble crochet. So from here, what you're going to do is chain 2, 1, 2, and yarn over twice again. So now what we're going to do is just go over everything we've already done, and we're going to work back into the same loops of the shells that we were doing. So back in the first row, where we chained everything, we're going to put in our treble crochets right where we put in our blanks initially. So you can see here, here, here. So it'll be underside-ish of the V, the underside of the V. So yarn over twice, get into this loop, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, ooh, and pull through 2. And then we'll do that again. Yarn over twice, get back in here, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. And these will be your treble crochets. Afterwards, between chain 2, yarn over twice again, and we're going to work into the border bits. So for here, again, 2 treble crochets as per normal. 1, 2, and here, instead of chaining 2, we're going to chain 1 and then yarn over twice. So between each border gap, because the gap here, as you can see, the gap between here and here is smaller. So all you do is chain 1 between these gaps and then 2 treble crochets again. So it's kind of similar to the pattern that we already have made, and yeah, we'll just keep going. So between each border and a shell, chain 2, and at the borders itself, just okay, so once you have your bottom border done, it'll look something like this. To finish it off, you just slip stitch into it and then into the first chain and then chain 1 and then cut it, and yeah, and that's it. So now we're going to make the thumb. So I know I numbered it just now in the sketch, but I numbered it entirely wrong. So this is the first part, this is the second, the thumb will be third, fourth will be this part of your hand. So for now, just fit your hand into it, and it will be loose probably, but that's normal. I'm going to zoom out a bit. So here we go. So what you want to do is make sure that you can make sure the side seams are at the side. So like here, and then you're going to want to place it here, and you're going to pinch it and make sure that this is the perfect measurement for your thumb. And make sure when you make it, there's enough space for you to slip your thumb out too. I'm going to be matching these border stitches together, and now we will start crocheting. Honestly, I didn't really need to stitch mark it, I just did it for fun. For funsies! Instead of working directly into the border stitches, I'm going to work on the top stitch of the border stitch. So instead of working into the V-shaped gap, I'm going to get into the top stitch of this one and the top stitch of the one on the opposite side. Okay, now we grab our yarn and we knot it through. So you can tie 1 knot or 2, but I'll tie 3 just to be safe. Yeah. Okay, once you have it tied, work back into the same stitches that you did, like so, and then you're going to yarn over and chain 2. 1, 2. So from here, we're going to try to be continuing the pattern that we've already established. So I think I'll work this way. We'll work this way, yarn over. I'm going to just open this gap up so that I can see where I'm going. And we're going to crochet, add a double crochet in the top loop of this stitch right here, the top loop of the V right here on one side, double crochet, and then we're going to start double crocheting and following the pattern that we already established. Okay, so you can see here that this is the seam where we stitch it together, and what we're going to do is we're going to put a border into it. So we're going to chain 1, yarn over, work into the gap here from where it was crocheted together, yarn over, put 1 double crochet, and yarn over, put another double crochet. Clearly you can see that my hands are struggling quite a bit. Haha, how fun, how funny. And then when we get here to the side where we've crocheted it together, we're going to put a double crochet, a V into this, so 2 double crochets into the same loop like so, and then we chain and then we turn around. So from here we can see the pattern that we've already made, and it's that already pre-established pattern. So there's 1 more V to work into here because there are 2 borders as always, so we're going to work into that one. 1. Careful not to crochet it together and making sure the layers are separate. 2. Afterwards, chain 1, and we're just going to work into the top of these stitches that we've already made. So remember when we put a double crochet here, 2 double crochets here. We're just going to add on to that. Oops. And here. So right now what we're going to do when we do this, we're going to be working in the round. So we don't have to slip stitch each layer to each other. We'll just be working entirely in a round, which is easier to see and or manage. So as you can see, it fits kind of well. You can see that it's along this border here. Whether or not you want to taper it, it's up to you. Right now I'm looking at it, I don't think I actually need to taper it, so what I'm going to do is just be continuing this pattern all the way up until the top, and then I'll show you how to reduce it into a thumb, into a loop circle thumb thing. Yeah. So if you were to want to decrease it, what you're going to do is like something like this. Okay, so if you want to reduce it, what you're going to do is yarn over, and you can kind of see the V-shaped borders, so you're going to want to get into the middle of both of them. Yarn over, pull through, and do one, and then go back into the same again, middle of both borders, and reduce, and that will form one V shape, and it will decrease it so that it tapers inwards. But it's entirely up to you whether you want to taper it or not. I think for this glove I'm not tapering it. Do what feels right, make it fit your fingers, and yeah. Okay, so I'm here with my thumb. Yes, with my thumb. So let me fit my thumb in and show you. So it's just about right, and I finished, remember we started on this point right here. So I didn't want to finish there because I wanted it to look even. So as you can see, if I finish it here, it doesn't look very even. So I'll do the last border stitch. Here. And afterwards you can tell that this point is higher than this point. So what we're just going to do is chain 2. And we're going to slip stitch into this chain, the top of the V of the blank. So slip stitch, chain 1, and then we can just cut this and pull this out. So make sure you leave it really long. Okay, from here, what we're going to do to close this, we're not going to crochet it closed, we're going to actually sew it closed. So you're going to need a needle. I actually had a needle, I put it on my bed and then I lost it, so I'm probably sleeping on a needle somewhere, but it's fine, it hasn't hurt me. Also, I lost my threader because yeah, I just lose everything, haha. So pick a needle that is an appropriate size that can fit through the loops of this. I'm gonna go for this one because it has the biggest loop to thread through. And you're going to thread this leftover yarn through your needle, like so. See, that was much easier than expected. Okay, so I've threaded the needle through, and what I'm going to do now is just turn this inside out. So now that your glove is inside out, what you're going to want to do is use your needle and go through the alternating back loops of it. So, like so, and then alternating form. So we go inwards with this one, and the next one we go outwards. Let me just try to get in way closer. And then for here we go inwards. And then for this one, outwards. And basically we just keep doing that until we've gone the whole round. And then once you get there, what you're going to do, you'll have something like this, right? And you're just going to tug on this and pull on it, and it will close. Like so, and you'll see that it sort of closes, but it'll form like the smallest little gap, which is honestly fine. And now we'll just sew it closed. So this is the loop that we formed, this one here. So when you pull it tighter, you can see that it closes up even more. And now we're just going to sew it through. Afterwards, when you're done, do a few loops on the needle like so. Hold on to this and just pull this through. It should form a little knot, imperceptible little knot like so. If you want to, you can go over and do another knot again because this is on the wrong side, so it's kind of okay. And yeah, and then afterwards, when you're done, you can just give it a snip. Give it a snip here. And turn it inside out. And voila, you have a glove. So this here is the circle we close, but because our pattern has a few gaps, so it shows a little bit of gaps, and honestly that's fine. And we have our thumb done. Now we're going to finish crocheting this bit up to the fingers here. For here, we just continue on the pattern. So we'll be working into the last stitch on this chain. So get that in here. And the same on the other side. So once you've got your crochet hook through, going to just do the same thing that we did earlier, which is get your yarn, pull it through, tie a knot or 2 or 3. I always go with 3 just for security and safety. And 3. And now we're just going to continue the pattern that we've already established. So going through this top loop, chain 1, we yarn over, pull through, we chain 2, 1, 2, yarn over, and we work back into the same stitch so that we try to make this a border stitch again. So working back into only one of the 2 stitches so we don't go both. And we form one of the little V's that we can work into later. And then we can continue working the pattern that we've already established. So I'll just continue with the pattern all the way through. Again, where the seams meet here, we're just going to do a V, which is a border stitch. And you keep working the pattern until you get it to your desired length for your hand. For me, that was 3 shells and 3 blanks, but everybody's hand is different, so do what feels right for you. And once you're done, you stop where you started and you just slip stitch, and then we can work on the fingers. Okay, so now we have something like this. And basically how we want this to go is each shell will be 1 finger. So I'm just going to use my stitch markers to mark this out. So we sort of want to get it in between the borders, in between each border. So when we slip our hands through, let me just slip my hand through. It's going to be like this. And it may look loose now, but when we stitch it together at these gaps, it will definitely be tighter, so you want to have some slack on it. And then you do the exact same thing you do for the thumbs, which is loop your yarn through, tie a triple knot, and then continue the pattern. So, and that's about it until you get to the top, and then you finish it off the exact same way as you do for the thumb, and then that's about it for the fingers. Okay, so once you have this, I'll just thread the ribbon through. And I bought this dumpy ribbon, and it honestly really sucks because it frays a lot. And it's probably really cheap, so yeah. So what we're going to do is get between these gaps that we've already made. I'm just going to mark where I want it to finish. One here. And another one here. And we'll just work backwards from there. It's like belt loops, so we just skip 2 or 3. Okay, now we'll just pull it through, making sure that we have enough slack. So we don't want it too tight, but also just a little bit. Okay, so now we cut it off at about the same length. Snip. And we just tie a ribbon. And there we go. It's kind of done. And once you finish the other one, we're completely done. Yay! I honestly think this is one of the best things I've ever made, and I'm so proud of myself that I actually came up with the whole pattern myself. I look like the off-brand Chinese Taobao sweatshop version of Harry Styles, but here we go. Even though they don't match, I think there's like a cuteness in the asymmetry of it. I'm just really happy with it. I feel like this is the first time that I've been so happy with something that I've made. and it's been the first time in a really long time, honestly. It's not that difficult to make. The most difficult part for me was planning it and trying to draft the whole pattern, which I already have done for you, so technically it should make sense, hopefully. Let me know if it works, and I really want to see if anyone else can make it and if the pattern actually makes sense, because to me it does, and I don't know, I'm just so proud that I came up with the pattern. And also, it was $450, 450 USD on the site, and I literally made it for $4 SGD and a lot of hand paint, but still completely worth it. It's not that difficult to make. Like, if you have the pattern, it's literally just perseverance, hard work, hand cramps, and just working for it. And that's the beautiful thing about crochet. I don't think it's technically that skilled. They kind of actually do work on my phone screen, which I was really surprised by because I was expecting it to not work. And yeah, I'm just so happy. Everyone should make these gloves. Everyone should own these gloves. Gucci got nothing on me. Everyone should make a pair of these gloves. They're so super cute. And they're so amazing. And everyone should cosplay as Discount Harry Styles. Show me your version of Harry Styles. I'm clearly the Taobao sweatshop version. I think people can do better. But I don't have a thrift shop to thrift at, so this is the best that I could do. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this one as much as I enjoyed making it. Thank you so much for watching again. Hit all the buttony thingies if you want to. If you don't, it's also fine. Love you. See you. Bye.